All week long you've waited, and now it's time for Kickoff. Fighting Chance Kickoff. Starts and sits, injuries, weather, and the latest news. No hot takes, no BS, just the information you need to crush your competition. It's Fighting Chance Kickoff with Kevin Tompkins and Gary Haddow.
Good morning, everybody. It is Fighting Chance Kickoff. You have me, Kevin Tompkins from FightingChanceFantasy.com. You have, of course, to my right on the screen, Gary Haddow, also of FightingChanceFantasy.com. Gary, how are you this morning?
I am doing fantastic. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited, dude. Slate of games today are going to be so awesome. Oh my gosh. I'm in Texas, and that means I get to watch the Texans Steelers, which I'm just all over that for fantasy purposes. And then Dallas, Seattle, man, that's going to be amazing. And then tonight we all get your Packers at the Saints. And then, God, tomorrow we get Kansas City at Baltimore. Like, this can't get any better. Niners play the Giants. Hopefully they should be able to win, even with BDNM at the helm.
Yeah, we will. We'll see what's going on with that. Yeah, the slate's awesome. We got a bunch of games. I'm getting, obviously Falcons, Bears, pretty good too. So, getting that. Yeah, let's get right into injuries, because obviously that was the main prevailing theme of week 2. Certainly seemed like that here. So, we'll start with your 49ers are losing a lot of firepower with George Kittle still out, Raheem Mostert out with MCL sprain. Jimmy Garoppolo with a high ankle. So let's start with the quarterback there. Jimmy Garoppolo will be out this week, certainly. Potentially next week. We'll see how it progresses. But Nick Mullins is going to get in at quarterback there against the Giants.
Yeah, I completely agree. It'll be interesting to see. Luckily, it is just the Giants. Mullins did okay. He almost actually beat the Packers. I think it was last year. God, that might have even been 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago. So it's a Shanahan offense. So I think the big question for me, which actually you have been tweeting about, and that's, is it Jeff Wilson? Is it Jet McKinnon? Or are you just staying away from both of them?
It depends, because me personally, I have both, and I think I'm starting both wherever I have them, just because of needs and my construction. Now, the way I see it shaping out, I'd be very shocked if Jeff Wilson didn't lead that backfield in carries. But I think the touches are going to be split between the two. Certainly McKinnon being the PPR option. Maybe Wilson sprinkles in 1 or 2 catches, but I think they're certainly both fantasy relevant today against the Giants, who can't stop a lot of people.
And with Jordan Reed probably being the number 1, number 2 tight end streamer of the week, probably with Logan Thomas being just ahead of him. So just keep that in mind if you need someone.
Yep, absolutely. Let's go over to the Rams here. Rams-Bills have a couple rookie running backs that are out. Cam Akers with a rib injury, Zach Moss with a toe. So both teams certainly feature the running back. The Rams have run a lot more than we're used to. Obviously, Buffalo does run the ball quite a bit too with their two-headed punch of Singletary and Moss. So who do you think that this hurts the most, Buffalo or the Rams being out their rookie running back?
Yeah, I think this probably, I don't know. I think it probably hurt Buffalo a tiny bit more, but I don't think that either of them are going to miss a beat here. It's a good matchup. It's not like a fantasy blow it up, just because I think these are two pretty good defenses. Akers, they already have Henderson and they have Malcolm Brown, and they're just going to be rotating in with Henderson being the primary for the week, given that Malcolm Brown was out due to a finger issue, so he missed some practice. So actually, Devin Singletary here, I think you have him ranked around RB22. I think he is a solid RB2 this week, and I would have no issue putting him in. This will just be an interesting game. Aaron Donald against Josh Allen, who can move, and then who does Jalen Ramsey go on? Is that going to be Diggs, or is it going to be John Brown, or is it going to be something where it's just whoever's lined up on his side? And I'm guessing they're going to attack the other side of the field.
Yeah, that's certainly more likely. I would assume, because of the start that Diggs has had, he'd be probably on him most of the time, but he'll see some John Brown too. So Josh Allen, he's looked great, but he's going to have to be a little bit more judicious. This is probably, certainly based on the schedule, this is probably his most competitive start here. So we'll see, how he fares with that. Now in Vegas and the Patriots, we lose another rookie here, Henry Ruggs, with a knee and hamstring injury. Certainly had high hopes for Ruggs, but it doesn't affect fantasy too much, really. You weren't starting Ruggs and anything really but your flex. James White still with, his tragedy that he had last week. He is out and will be out for the future. We'll see what happens with that, but certainly no timetable there. So that pretty much leads Sony Michel, Rex Burkhead to lead those snaps there in the backfield. So certainly if you have White, you pretty much made your plans not having him for at least a little bit here. And then some injuries that have lingered here, like AJ Brown's bone bruise. So we're going to see, them against Minnesota, who are already down 2 corners. Corey Davis is looking just like a revelation, at least in the beginning of the year, not only from, him stepping up a little bit with the injury, but just the matchups that he has today, certainly.
Yeah, the Titans definitely, Ryan Tannehill, we always wondered if he was for real. And it looks like so far he's doing a good job of staying in the flames, so to speak. And, they have Jonnu, they have Adam Humphries, they have Corey Davis. So I think that they shouldn't really miss a beat. Question to me is, can the Vikings passing attack actually keep them in a game long enough for Tannehill to actually, keep the Titans having to be rolling? Or is this going to be like a 35 touch Derrick Henry game, which I would probably put my money on over under 30 touches. I would take the over for Henry.
Yeah, absolutely. That's certainly a fair bet. This could be, this is shaping up to be a Derrick Henry smash game. So, something we're waiting for. It could happen today, certainly. It sets up pretty well for him. Now, in terms of the late games, I have one more too. Alshon Jeffrey still continued out with his foot injury. Nothing really changes there.
I think that's an important thing to note, is that if Alshon is on your roster, on your waivers right now, go and pick him up and throw him at the bottom. He's going to come back, and Jalen Reagor is going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks now.
Yeah, that's certainly tough. We thought we were going to get, Jalen Reagor back, and then just a really bad setback. So tough to see. We'll see how the Eagles pass game responds. Certainly with Carson Wentz kind of against the ropes today in a must win versus the Bengals. A couple late game news and notes here. Christian Kirk will be out with a hamstring, so I would bump Larry Fitzgerald up, but likely you're not starting him unless you really, really have to. Could be some more for Kenyon Drake. Maybe Andy Isabella gets worked in. I mean, I don't think much changes in the top end with DeAndre Hopkins. Drew Lock is also out for Denver today against Tampa Bay. So Jeff Driscoll gets a start. What do you think about Jeff Driscoll? What do you think about the state of the Broncos offense with Locke out today?
Yeah, I'm actually a Driscoll kind of fan. Even going into the offseason, I kind of said, in these deep leagues that you're doing, throw Driscoll on the end of your bench. It wasn't because I thought Drew Lock would get injured, because that's ridiculous, but because we don't know if Drew Lock's any good, and there's a world in which they have a great offense. Obviously Sutton's out he's on IR, but I think this is a pretty good offense. It's a tough week against the Bucs, who have a pretty strong defense, but Tom Brady with a healthy Evans and Godwin should be able to put up some points. So I like Driscoll. For those that haven't seen it, it's kind of all over Twitter. Last year in 3 starts, Jeff Driscoll, QB12, QB5, QB13 with the Lions, because he's happy to tuck the ball and run. He has a solid rushing floor. That's the type of thing you always want. He's the mini Konami code, so to speak. So I do like him. I'm playing as a QB2 in a bunch of leagues. He's definitely not a starter for me, but he is a QB2.
Yep, for sure. And then one of the weirder injury stories that I think we've seen quite a bit here, Tyrod Taylor with a rib injury. It was a chest originally come game time last week, and now apparently trying to get that alleviated. Got a punctured lung, so he's going to be out indefinitely. We were all kind of hoping for Justin Herbert. Anthony Lynn wanted to make known that he is Taylor is the starter. But right now it's Justin Herbert, and hopefully it's Justin Herbert going forward. It really sucks to see a guy go down like that, especially Tyrod Taylor. But Justin Herbert really gave this offense a shot in the arm last week, and I think he's certainly a bona fide streamer quarterback or more going forward.
Yeah, I would actually start him this week. I know that some people are hesitant, thinking that the Chargers are just going to run and run and run because they won't need to throw. But unfortunately, this is kind of narrative-y, but if I'm Anthony Lynn, I kind of want to see what Justin Herbert can do. I kind of want to give him a little bit of latitude to throw. See, he's still playing for his job right now, especially with what they're saying about Tyrod. So let him air it out a little bit. He had a really good connection with Eckler, even with Kelly, with Keenan Allen, with Hunter Henry. The one person who took a dip was Mike Williams, but we'll see. Maybe that'll change. And I think even their rookie, Gaitan, I think that's his name, he even got, a touchdown. So I have no problem starting, again, kind of Jeff Driscoll-y territory as a QB2, potentially in a GPP, doing a large, doing a stack somewhere. I really like the idea of a Herbert Eckler stack because Eckler hasn't blown up yet. So, but I don't play a lot of daily. That's just kind of something I've been thinking about.
Right, certainly. And then moving over to the late game tonight, Michael Thomas, high ankle sprain. And we got Devontae Adams also, who's doubtful, but LaFleur's going to leave it up, to see how he is 90 minutes before game time. So certainly make some contingency, make some plans to not have Devontae Adams. Obviously, Michael Thomas, you've pretty much known about this. So, you should have something worked out there. It's going to bump Traquan Smith up again. I was kind of hesitant on, advising people to start him just because we didn't know how that offense was going to operate. And clearly, Smith was a very targeted option. And Emmanuel Sanders really wasn't a factor. So, keep Traquan Smith up, bump up Jared Cook. It certainly boosts up Kamara too, to boost up his floor. With receptions too. He's looked fantastic too, but couple of, your top 1, top 2 wide receivers, both likely out, certainly in Adams' case.
Are you starting Adams if he's in?
Probably not. I've already made plans. I don't have anybody else. I don't have MVS that I can pick up, as a contingency, but I have my starters pretty much set. I'm just going without Adams this week.
And are you going Lazard or MVS?
I go MVS for the upside. I think he's on par with Lazard as far as targets go. So I have no problems, at least throwing him in. If he catches one, that's probably 40, 50 yards right there.
Yeah.
Has a better shot than Lazard, I think, to run into a touchdown as well. So,
totally.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers clearly trusts him a lot more than he did last year. They were pretty much in the same position. They didn't have Devontae Adams for a couple weeks here, so they had to depend on guys. That was when Lazard, showed up and started balling out pretty well. MVS was on the field, and then his snaps got decreased. So this year, at least they have 2 viable options. Lazard, I still like as a flex option, more of a low end flex, just based on the landscape of wide receiver. But it could be anyway. This could be a Lazard week. Who knows? It's going to be tough against the Saints because of their corners and their defense is really good. But
are you starting Rodgers or Breeze? I actually have this decision in the Fighting Chance League.
Jeez, that's tough.
Yeah.
Give me Rodgers based on how he's playing. If the Saints get up, they're going to take the ball right out of Drew Brees' hands. So, I'd give it to Rodgers. As a Packer fan, bias aside, I think the Saints are probably. I think they're going to win by a touchdown. So that's going to bode well.
The Saints are going to win. I think Packers are going to win. Interesting.
I know that's a weird dynamic, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we're starting to get some questions to filter in here.
Jump in there.
Someone turned on the faucet and out here came a couple here. Robbie Anderson or Brandon Cooks half PPR, both with tough matchups.
This one's not close to me. It's Robbie Anderson. You stay in the flames. Brandon Cooks terrifies me.
Yeah, fan those flames on Brandon Cooks. It's Robbie Anderson. I think he's got to be in your lineup if you have him.
Definitely.
Yeah. And then this one for me, Corey Davis, Michael Pittman Jr. for standard. I'd still take, Corey Davis, I think is a smasher today.
Yeah.
Like I said, Vikings are on, they don't have any of their week 1 cornerbacks starting. So, I think it's a Corey Davis, Johnny Smith game. Certainly. Anthony Bard's out for, I think he's on IR as well. So that bodes well for Johnny Smith. I certainly like Corey Davis here too. Really the only weather that we have to talk about, we try to, take a pulse and see what's going on with the weather. It's really the wind in a few games here. So just be on the lookout. Maybe I'd say that affects your kicker more than anybody, but could certainly affect the passing game if the winds, get up to, a certain level. Washington and the Browns 10 to 15 mile an hour winds, Rams and Buffalo up to 25 mile an hour gusts, and then Tampa and Denver, 20 to 30 mile an hour winds. Yeah. Other than that, there really is not any weather. I mean, it's been great. We don't have to worry about storms. We don't have to worry about other stuff affecting the games. So, good, at least in the beginning of the fall here. So we got more questions filtering in. If you see us and you have some start sit questions, we'll answer them live here. If you send them to us after, on Twitter at KTompkinsII, at GaryHaddow1, certainly get them to us. We'll answer them as we get them. More than happy to do that. So thank you for those who are sending questions in. We absolutely appreciate it and are more than happy to at least give an ear and give you our opinion. So let's go with half PPR here. Robert Woods, J.K. Dobbins, Hayden Hurst.
I think we're probably in the same boat here that we would go Woods, Hurst, Dobbins in that order.
Yeah, but I don't feel as great about Robert Woods because he likely is to see Tre'Davious White today. So temper expectations. I don't think you're going to get a Woods smash game, but he's used in creative ways. He's used out of the backfield. So, he's going to boost your floor just up a little bit. But I think he's still got to start him, certainly over Dobbins, certainly over Hayden Hurst. Maybe tight end premium that maybe enters Hurst into the discussion a little more, but I think you got to start Woods here.
Yeah. Completely.
Yep. And then Keenan Allen or Adam Thielen for wide receiver 2 in PPR.
I'm going to go with Keenan. I mean, I know Thielen, is getting the targets, but I don't know. I just don't trust Minnesota at this point. I don't trust Cousins. So I'm going to go with Keenan with Herbert, kind of go with that upside. Keenan is just such a good wide receiver. He really is very underrated. I mean, Adam Thielen is kind of the same boat, but at this point, at week 3, I trust Herbert more than I trust Cousins, as weird as that is.
I know, right? Welcome to week 3 here. I take Thielen here, just banking on the target share and the talent. But Keenan Allen is looked fantastic, and he's got a clear rapport with Justin Herbert. So and that's the thing with those Chargers pass catchers. We saw Taylor certainly have an affinity for Mike Williams, and now with Herbert here, he's been he targeted Henry and Allen a lot more and got them more involved than they were in week 1. So that's certainly something to look at too, to see if the trend persists there, or if he can develop some rapport with Mike Williams. That's something that remains to be seen too. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I got a couple dozen questions from people from Facebook and Twitter, so I can kind of throw some out. Anybody listening, if you haven't, go to fightingchancefantasy.com. You click on, you find Kevin's rankings. They're actually my default rankings now. They're what I use. I said it on Twitter yesterday, and I wasn't blowing smoke and being biased. Like, I actually use Kevin's rankings, and I really like them. So definitely check those out, fightingchancefantasy.com. You might have to scroll a couple pages through the news feed to get there, but you'll see.
Yes.
They're awesome.
Yeah, appreciate it, my man. So I update them several times a day. I've got an update out now from the inactives from injuries and just what Rappaport and Schefter have been saying about guys likely to play and guys that are slated to be out. So we will see what happens with inactives that are coming up in about 10 minutes or so when they start filtering in here. But I have one more question, at least in our chat right now, and then we can get into some more stuff here. Jarvis Landry or DJ Moore for wide receiver 3 in PPR?
Do not overthink this, Axel. It's DJ Moore, no question. Yep. I mean, DJ Moore could be the overall number 1 wide receiver this week. I actually just benched Landry in a league because he's just a guy right now. I need somebody with more upside, and I think Landry is still, I don't know if he's 100% recovered from his, abdomen or whatever in the offseason. So right now, I'm going to go, I'm actually starting KJ Hamler over Jarvis Landry just to kind of put in perspective how low I have moved Landry.
I knew I liked you. Me and my. So
you're in my ears all the time, dude.
Man, that is one big sleeper, and I think I'm going to start next week. I'm going to put up some graphics with some sleepers to kind of target. If you're hurt for injuries and you're looking for guys to kind of plug in, I will start doing that next week. Get some graphics up. But KJ Hamler would have been probably at the top of that list for me, because even with Jeff Driscoll, even with Tampa's solid pass defense, at least Carlton Davis has been pretty solid. If Jerry Jeudy is out, targets are going to be had for Noah Fant and for KJ Hamler, who came in with Driscoll, got all 7 of his, got 7 targets, 22% target share. He got 116 air yards last week. So he's clearly going to be used, not just in the slot, but because he is a smaller guy, he's going to be used on the perimeter as well. So that's a guy you can certainly look to, as a guy you can just plug in that's probably available in, I'd say, 75% of leagues right now.
And look and see what happened last week as kind of the game script. Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore, who are KJ Hamler and Jerry Jeudy, those guys did really well against the Bucs in a comeback, even if it was more garbagey time. Like I think that, again, KJ Hamler is going to do well, and I have no issue starting him. I also have no issue starting Jerry Jeudy, assuming that he's playing. So,
yeah, he's also 3,000 on DraftKings too. So just FYI, wink, wink. So I've got a few questions here, and I'll just we'll start rapid firing them as we get some more here. Mark Ingram or Josh Kelly? This is all PPR, by the way.
Josh Kelly, not close.
Yeah, agreed. Josh Kelly for me. Jonnu Smith or TJ Hawkinson?
Jonnu, probably. Yeah, Jonnu. AJ Brown's out, and I think that they pass some, but it's close. I think Hawk will have a good week.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. Let me take a look here. Mitch Trubisky or Daniel Jones?
Trubisky with AJ Terrell out. I think that, I'll probably go with Trubisky.
And then speaking of AJ Terrell, that is a storyline that nobody really said anything about, because that Bears Falcons game had the potential to be at least postponed with Terrell's COVID designation. So that was something that kind of took me by surprise when I heard about that, and that that was certainly in the cards to happen. But
a reminder on that for everybody in case you don't know what happened with Matt Stafford earlier in the year, all that stuff. COVID designation doesn't mean the player has COVID. It means they came into contact significantly enough that they need to pull them out. Right. No one else has been tested. The entire Falcons team has been tested. No one's had it. So the NFL's taking this stuff really seriously. So just remember, temper kind of expectations or concerns, I guess, when this stuff happens. But my big thing will be if more than one person on a team, that's when I'm going to start to get very nervous.
Yeah, that's definitely the danger zone with that there. And Ian Rappaport has said also Jerry Jeudy with his rib injury is expected to play. So something to look to there. And I think that, that's certainly going to help KJ Hamler as well. Certainly Noah Fant as well, having that guy there that kind of takes maybe Carlton Davis out of the equation there. They do have some really good corners too. Murphy Bunting or Bunting Murphy, that he's been a good slot corner as well too. So something to look forward to there if you have Jerry Jeudy. I think he's a solid start today, just on volume. Going back to some questions here, Tyler Boyd or John Brown?
Tyler Boyd, I think that he has a better path to consistent targets this week. And, there's a world where John Brown might have some Ramsey for some of that game. And wasn't John Brown a little banged up this week?
A little bit. He's on the practice report, but he does not have a designation from what I see here.
Yeah.
So, Matt Stafford, Drew Brees.
If with Golladay playing, which I think he is, I'm going to go with Stafford. If Golladay sits, which he shouldn't, then I would go Brees. But so for now, I'm going with Stafford and see what happens.
Yeah, I'd absolutely agree there. I think Galladay's going to transform that passing game, certainly to what it should be. Moving Marvin Jones as the two now, Hawkinson. It's only going to benefit everybody having a guy like Kenny Galladay up there.
Yeah.
Russell Gage, and trust me, we have a lot of Russell Gage here this week.
Yeah.
So, Russell Gage, James Conner, or Darrell Henderson in the flex.
James Conner. I mean, there's no reason to think he's not going to do amazing, and that game should be a blowout. So,
yeah, I'd go with Conner too. Russell Gage or Darius Slayton.
Russell Gage. I think that they're closer than maybe you would think based off of what's been happening lately. But yeah, Russell Gage. I mean, it's 5 games now where he has been very good, if not great. And some of those games he either had Julio out, Calvin out, or had both of them in. All 3 of them, all 3 situations he's done well. So I would just stick with him.
Absolutely. KJ Hamler or N'Keal Harry. And keep in mind that's without a designation right now on N'Keal Harry, but they're saying he should play.
Probably Hamler. I want to say I actually think they're pretty close. Harry floor, Hamler ceiling, and in this case, Harry's floor is low enough that I'd rather have Hamler's ceiling.
Yeah, absolutely fair. Here's one. This might blow your mind a little bit. Todd Gurley or Jeff Wilson.
I mean, you have to play Gurley just because, but if Gurley puts up another 20 carries for sub 70 yards, I think at some point he is moved to a flex, if not on your bench. Kevin and I have talked a lot about Jeff Wilson and what his role should be. I think we're probably looking at 30, 40 yards and a touchdown type thing. I think Gurley has a higher upside. It wouldn't be crazy to see Wilson. He has done well every time he's been put in. Yeah. It's just a matter of what's this game going to look like. If it was Jimmy, I would say Wilson, but because it's Nick Mullins, I'm just nervous that it's going to be a closer game than we expect.
No, I hear you, but I do think that that certainly benefits the run game too, to a degree. So I actually like Wilson here. I wouldn't blame anybody for starting Todd Gurley. I really wouldn't. Just the last couple games and how the game scripts have gone. Just Ryan passing, and Gurley isn't even seeing the passing down work. That's the thing. That's something we've gotten used to, is Todd Gurley being a solid option out of the backfield. And I think he only has 5 targets on the season.
Yes,
and 2 catches for a yard.
It's so weird.
He's averaging 1.5 foot a game of receiving yards. So
you're going to go Wilson there. What about Gurley McKinnon, since you're lower on McKinnon?
Oh, man.
Yeah, Gurley's tough right now.
Gurley is tough. Yeah, trust me. My future 0-12 Scott Fishbowl team is lamenting the fact about Todd Gurley. Gurley and McKinnon, man, that's probably the toughest one I've gotten just off the cuff. I'd say Gurley, but it's close because I just don't know what the ceiling of McKinnon will be if they're going to mix in Wilson. Yeah. So I think it's very fair. I think they're even, and I'm going to take a look at how I have them both. I believe I have Gurley over McKinnon. Just because I think there's some ceiling there with Gurley. I just don't. It's tough to see it unlocked based on the last 2 games.
You've changed my mind. I'm actually going to go Wilson and McKinnon because you're going against a tougher defense. So I don't know how well Gurley is going to be able to run. I think that game is going to be less high scoring than it has been in the past couple of weeks. Right. And so I'm going to go with McKinnon and Wilson. I mean, as much as we're down on McKinnon. Like Shanahan is a top 2 play caller in the NFL. He'll figure out how to make it work.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mike Davis or Antonio Gibson?
What did I think I'm going to answer this? I'm going with Davis for the floor, Gibson for the upside. I think I actually am going to go with Gibson, but I think that they're both fine RB2s, if not flexes. So I have no problem. I'm starting both of them wherever I pretty much have them. It's rare that I'm going to be benching them.
Yeah. Geez, looking at the two, Mike Davis, just Brian Drake kind of sold me on Mike Davis, just the floor that he has in that offense, because you got to figure the Panthers are going to just be, I think they're going to be a negative game script from almost the jump today. So that's when we saw Mike Davis. I think he had a bunch of his catches in the last 2 drives that they had.
Yes, he did
yesterday. So that's something to look to, as maybe Chargers just get out to a lead and then just settle back. And, you know, it's going to give garbage time Mike Davis, not giving him a new nickname, but certainly, you know, warrants some attention there with Mike Davis. So I think I'm going to go with him. Cleveland's defense is a really good play today against the Washington football team. So that gives me some trepidation a bit on anybody that's not named Logan Thomas or Terry McLaurin. You know, Cleveland has a really high pressure rate, and Washington does not do well with pressure. So I think that's the big matchup there. You know, with Dwayne Haskins, he hasn't thrown an interception yet. He'll probably throw a couple today, I would predict.
So Julio is out. Just update there that just came through.
Okay.
I got a whole bunch of other questions. I'm trying to just keep them in the same ballpark of players that we're talking about. So, Marvin Jones or Mike Davis in the flex PPR?
Marvin Jones, not by much, but Marvin Jones.
I do agree. Adding to the Davis Gibson one, David Johnson, Mike Davis, Antonio Gibson.
Mike Davis.
I don't think. Okay.
I still David Johnson. Houston Texans offense as a whole,
it's terrifying.
I'm out on at least for today. I mean, Deshaun Watson. We talked about him on Fighting Chance Live about how just that is such a bad matchup. And as good as Deshaun Watson is, it's hard to sit him down. If you can, I'm not confident at all in Deshaun Watson here.
Your QB 18 on your rankings.
That's right. Yeah. I'm very not on him.
Going back to Hamler, Gibson, Hamler, or Landry, half point PPR.
It gets to a point where you can't be exactly cute with things. I would probably start Landry over Hamler. You know, I think really Hamler is good if you have a bunch of younger, if you tend to skew younger with your drafts and want to take, you know, your shots on N'Keal Harry or Preston Williams, guys like that, after you solidify your top 3 or 4 wide receivers, and say you have guys like AJ Brown or Michael Thomas that you drafted, you know, that's a good spot where KJ Hamler makes sense. If you have a bunch of guys like maybe you drafted Thielen and Cooper Kupp, and then you also have on the back end, you know, you picked a Jarvis Landry, you took a Tyler Boyd, you know, those are guys with high floors. I wouldn't get cute with KJ Hamler in that respect.
Yeah, I actually agree. Landry is the low one on that totem pole for me. So I'm probably going to go Gibson because I want the touches. Then I'm going Hamler and then Landry. So as I said, I've benched Landry for Hamler in a league, but I have a lot of the pieces around it.
Right.
I want to get to a player that's near and dear to my heart, plant my flag guy from the offseason, and that's Golladay or Russell Gage. Now that we know Julio is out, I don't know what to do. This is my main league, and I'm very torn.
It's tough because if it was anything but a soft tissue injury, it would be Golladay, and I wouldn't think twice about it. That's the only thing that gives me trepidation, and that's why, you know, That's why we love these questions, because we can kind of go through our thought process and do it on the fly. But I think I would still take Galladay over Gage. I think if you have him and he's healthy, I think you got to play Galladay.
Yeah, I'm leaning that way too. It's not as if Gage is their 1. Gage is still their 2. So
right. Potentially 3 in their offense based on, with Hurst and yeah, exactly.
My big concern is, what is Patrick Peterson at this point in his career? He's not a shutdown corner anymore, but he's a lockdown corner. He usually does pretty well, but then we just saw Terry McLaurin just burned him. Oh my gosh. I just don't know if Kenny's going to have the speed that Terry McLaurin does with his injuries. So I am going Galladay for the upside, but hopefully this doesn't screw me over. And then I'm just going to add in a third name, actually, because I think that these are all in the same range, and that's Will Fuller. Are there players that you would start Will Fuller over? And like, what is that range? Because everybody's just so nervous about getting burned, but on the flip side, like, someone's going to have to catch passes, and I don't think it's going to be Brandon Cook.
Right. I have Fuller as wide receiver 46.
Okay.
And that's in the range of where is it here? Alan Lazard, Brandon Cooks. I have Brandon Cooks over Will Fuller because I think he's got a chance to run into a touchdown, maybe deep. I have him in the Sammy Watkins tier. So that's kind of where I have Will Fuller here. Plus, sense. He could always re-aggravate that hamstring too. We see it time and time again with him. So until he's fully healthy, I mean, he was fully healthy before that happened. So that's just the crappy part about it, is that if you're not in a best ball league and you have Will Fuller, it's tough to know when to start him. So that's why I'm very rarely going to recommend. And then adding on top of that is the matchup against the Steelers. So
yeah, totally.
That really just puts a lot of wild cards into that scenario.
So I got some deeper threats here. So we're going to do a pick 2, kind of like we're Panera Bread. It's going to be DeAndre Swift, MVS, and Djax, PPR. Pick 2. Swift, MVS, Djax. Deshaun Jackson for anyone listening.
Yeah. Djax. I think,
then Swift or MVS.
And Swift and MVS. If it's all upside there. I keep in mind I do like Swift. I really do like Swift, and I think he's going to certainly benefit with those pass catchers all there now for Detroit. But MVS, I like with Devontae probably not playing. We'll see what happens, but I like just the absolute upside that both guys have. And we haven't seen a Deshaun Jackson week just absolutely blowing up, and he's due based on the opportunity and based on the air yards he's getting. So I think that his time is going to come. This is a good matchup for him against Cincinnati. So Carson Wentz is in a against the ropes, needs to get right spot this week. Yeah. So I think the Eagles certainly come out guns blazing. They pretty much have to, because if you're starting out 0-3, Philadelphia is not a friendly city to sports teams that are not winning. So that is not going to be good if they start 0-3 and they have to go back. So I think they're going to have a little bit more spirit today, and I think they're going to come out of the gates, and they're going to certainly have to, for their season's sake.
For sure. Got some tight end questions. So Jordan Reed or Dalton Schultz, half PPR?
Give me Jordan Reed. I know Kittle's not in, and I think he can certainly exploit the Giants. I'll take Reed there.
Hunter Henry or Tyler Higbee?
Tyler Higbee.
Half PPR.
Half PPR. Give me Hunter Henry. 3 touchdowns with Higbee. We're certainly not expecting that, but it is a tough matchup against the Bills. So I think they're going to find one guy and kind of lock him down. And then I think it's going to open up a little bit for Higbee, but I don't think I don't think he's a top level play this week at the position. We got one question in the chat here I want to hit on real quick here. Hunter Henry, Jordan Reed, Logan Thomas, or TJ Hawkinson for tight end in PPR?
I want you to answer this first because I want to know yours.
All right, so I'm gonna eliminate Jordan Reed out of here for right now. I'm gonna take TJ Hawkinson. Granted, Arizona is not the Arizona that we've known to just completely fall apart against tight ends, but they're still not great against them either. So I would take TJ Hawkinson in that elevated offensive environment for the Detroit Lions over Henry, over Reed, over Thomas.
Oh,
and we haven't seen that blow up game either for TJ Hawkinson either, which I think that's coming too. He's been kind of lying in the weeds a little bit, but I really do like Hawkinson. I think that game and obviously the Seahawks Cowboys, I think that those are two of the biggest shootout potential games of the slate.
This is such a tough one for me. I have a weird aversion to TJ Hawkinson. I don't own him anywhere. It's just not something that really struck my interest. I think Hunter Henry.
I haven't gotten him in your ear enough yet. That's why.
Yeah. Hunter Henry is probably the best floor play in my opinion. I actually think Jordan Reed. In Scott Fish, I'm starting Jordan Reed and Logan Thomas. Not that says I'm starting them over these guys, but
right.
I think that Reed is just one of those players. Like, the fantasy footballers had Rule 86 or whatever it was. You always start him if he's playing, and I think we're getting pretty close. It's been one game, but I think with Kittle out, what other options do they have? They don't have Debo. They don't have their primary pass catchers anyway. It's Brandon Ayuk. It's Kendrick Bourne. I think Reed is going to just be that big dude that can just move the chains. And so I'm going to take a shot and try not to be too much of a homer and say Jordan Reed. He did look good last week.
Yeah. And I will say with these four guys, Reed, Henry, Thomas, Hawkinson, they all have more than have the ability to be, the top tight end of the week. All four are in good spots this week.
Yeah.
So
easily have two touchdowns and like 6 for 80. Each of these guys could do that. Yeah,
exactly. So you could be looking at all four guys, with a touchdown, and there's almost no wrong answer here, honestly, because all four have, very good matchups and would be starters on most teams, certainly. I do have one more. I have a few more, actually. Tight end premium here. Hayden Hurst or Robbie Anderson?
Whew. I'm going Hayden Hurst just because, we did
Julio.
talk about Anderson's. Yeah, Julio's out, and Anderson is going to either get Casey Hayward or Desmond King. And while Anderson has been fire, Jesus, this is a hard one. Even I'm pivoting now and being like, give me Robbie Anderson. I think that the Panthers have to come back, and they're going to funnel through DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson.
That's actually a decision in one of my leagues. So, I've been wrestling with that for like the past day and a half here. And I already know I'm going to make the wrong decision. So I'm probably going to start Robbie Anderson and then hate myself when Hayden Hurst goes for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns. But
so Melvin Ingram is on IR. That pass rush is going to be limited. I think that'll give enough, like those extra 2 seconds are the 2 seconds to get a play to develop, right?
Yeah.
Or even like 1.5 seconds. And that play developing is Robbie Anderson down the field. So let's go with Robbie. Let's roll those dice.
Exactly. So I've gotten a few more questions actually in my DMs here. Did I ask this? I feel like I did. Yeah, I did. So that was Slayton or Gage. Somebody actually just asked me that as well. So, and then we went with Gage on that. So I have a few more here. Phillip Rivers or Deshaun Watson?
Woo.
It's about finding that line, man.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Rivers. I don't want to be. How do you sit Watson? It's so hard to sit him, but I'm going to go with Rivers. I just think that it's the Jets, man. Like, yeah, this could be a Jonathan Taylor 200-yard game, but I also
it's probably a 200-yard game for Rivers too. 200
but he
yards,
could easily have like
touchdown, and then it's
2 touchdowns.
Jonathan Taylor time. It's tool time.
I don't want to lose my week because I started Watson and he just couldn't do anything and got sacked like 8 times and, pretty much was just doing dump offs to Fuller. like I keep saying, Akins is the only person on that roster that I actually would consider starting, and that's just because tight end, you kind of just have to take shots at random places.
I would say this: if you're in a league that penalizes for sacks taken, I would almost rather start Jimmy Garoppolo over Deshaun Watson, if I'm being honest, just because he's not going to go negative. Deshaun Watson in that format could go negative today. Just with the sacks taken, that offensive line is not great in Houston. Maybe he gets over the hump and gets positive with, just sheer volume at the end of the game, but I mean, that's a decision look at Scott Fishbowl, that really penalizes for incompletions too. I mean, I don't have him in Scott Fishbowl, but God, that is such a bad, decision to have to make.
I agree. So there's a couple questions.
Especially if you drafted only 2 quarterbacks.
Oh yeah, it's tough. I have Goff and Rivers, and I think I benched Goff for Driscoll. No, I benched Goff for Rivers, and I put in Driscoll, I think. And I feel really dirty about all 3 choices. So I need to look at that and make sure I'm not overthinking this one.
Yep. And we got a defense question in the chat here too. Cowboys or Bengals?
We actually have 2 of them. I'm going Bengals. I think that, until Wentz shows us he can be anything more than North Dakota State quarterback this season, we're just gonna go against the Eagles. Seahawks are too damn good. Like, I'm not starting anybody against the Seahawks defensively.
Bite your tongue on the North Dakota talk. Both teams they're in my top. I have Bengals at defense 27, Cowboys at defense 28. There's got to be better. I mean,
there has to be.
Yeah,
Titans, Browns,
the Browns are
Cardinals.
out there. I mean, the Patriots maybe could be out there.
Colts against the Jets. Send us a list of some other things, and don't play either of these guys. It's a 2 deep. Jesus.
Wow. So probably everybody's rostered then.
You're playing Bengals then, not playing the Cowboys.
Yeah, I play Bengals. Who knows? They could run. If they get Carson Wentz, who's been Carson Wentz the last couple of weeks, if they get that Carson Wentz, you got the ability to at least in standard defensive scoring to probably get 5-6 points.
I actually have another defensive question. Strangely enough, it's in our show doc. Rams at Buffalo or Chiefs at Baltimore?
Rams or Chiefs, you said?
Yeah.
Oh boy. I'd probably go Rams here.
Yeah,
but the only 2 defenses that I have rostered, and I think in every league in those leagues, are the Chiefs and Colts. And then I've pivoted from Chiefs to Browns wherever I could too. Yeah. I'm not touching the Chiefs again in that matchup. There's no way. So yeah, give me the Rams over the Chiefs, certainly.
Before we move on to the next question, I do want to add something. The way I play defense with defenses in fantasy is I always look a week ahead if I'm going to roster 2 defenses, which I only do that in very certain leagues. I'm always going to make sure that I'm only just carrying 1 for this week and 1 for next week, and constantly doing that. It's the only way to stay ahead and always make sure that you have some kick-ass defense.
Yeah, and if I can get a top 12 matchup, I know it's not, based on the defenses that are, rostered. I know it's not always able to happen, but yeah, stay ahead of the game. And then even come the playoffs, once you start getting into week 9 or 10, take a look, at your playoffs. And that might be the time where if you're in a good spot depth wise, I don't mind rostering even 3, honestly. And I know that's really taboo to talk about, but that's the stuff that can, if you could find a, maybe a team like the Patriots who are playing the Dolphins and the Jets or something like that. You want to lock up those 2 matchups, and then, you have one for the other week, for the odd week, and then you can just drop the other one and then you'll be good to go. That's certainly not out of the realm of possibility. I know it's taboo to, own maybe more than 1 quarterback, but in COVID, That's
Whatever you
fine.
mean.
But defenses, defenses don't really go like that unless just something with COVID could hit and you could lose multiple guys. We don't know. There's really been no precedent for it. So
we got a question here on our Twitter feed. Would you start Edelman or Kareem Hunt in half PPR this week?
Man. I go with Edelman there. It's tough. It really is tough. Actually, you know what? This is I hate to go against Kareem Hunt because I think the Browns are going to be fine. They're going to be in positive game script, I think. Geez, that's a tough decision. What? Play both, damn it. But
yeah, figure that out. I did the same thing as you. I answered Hunt, and then I sent a second response that said, actually, Edelman floor, Hunt ceiling. You got to decide. These guys are going to be pretty equal. I think Edelman's probably not going to get the touchdown, but Hunt right now is looking awesome. So,
all right. And we got a few more questions in the chat.
Yeah.
Good friend Jamie here. Love her. Saints defense, top free agent are Vikings, Falcons, Rams. I'd probably just still.
Did you see the follow-up? She has Aaron Jones starting against the Saints.
Yeah. Yep. I just saw that here. So, what do you think, Gary?
If I can keep two defenses, then I'm going to pick up the Rams. If I can't, and I have to drop the Saints for the Rams, I'm keeping the Saints.
Yeah, I like that. I would keep the Saints. If you can pick up the Rams, I'm sorry, and you don't have to drop anybody of note. I'd certainly go ahead and do that. I even think the Saints aren't a terrible matchup.
Agreed.
But
we've only seen Rodgers against the Vikings and the Lions. It's not as if they're like stalwarts of a defensive efficiency. So
exactly that's another thing
expectations.
Too.
But the Saints just got lit up by
Darren
Waller, like not even by the Raiders, but just by Darren Waller. So we'll see.
Yeah, pretty much the Darren Waller. Yeah, exactly. So let's see. I think I can add one more to the roster as her update to that. So I would add the Rams. I would play them today. I think it's funny because I still have Josh Allen as my QB1. I'm thinking about adjusting that maybe a little bit because I think just thinking about it, I might move Cam Newton up as my quarterback 1 this week. Over Josh Allen. So I'm gonna have to take a look at that before kickoff here. We got a few minutes here, so let's go rapid fire into some questions after we take this one in the chat here. David Carr, who apparently just unretired.
It's definitely not Derek Carr against the Patriots. I can tell you that. That's eliminated right now.
Yeah, he's been sacked into oblivion. Yeah, Jeff Driscoll, Jared Goff, or Derek Carr, I would assume for QB2.
Yeah, I think that I want to make sure I'm quoting. Oh, that's what I did. I think I would. Is Goff at home? No, it's in Buffalo.
It's in Buffalo.
I'm going to go with Driscoll. It feels weird, but I'm going to go with Driscoll. I could be incredibly wrong here, right? Goff could have a very good week, and we just look silly and overthinking this. My concern is it's overthinking. I don't know. I would say Goff isn't going to shit the bed, but like his week 1, he didn't even have a touchdown. He had 242 yards.
The only thing with Goff is that, he shows up in good matchups and just shits the bed in bad matchups. So I'd probably lean Driscoll a little bit too.
Yeah. Go with Driscoll. He'll have a higher floor.
Yeah, for sure. So let's get into some rapid fire stuff here. Michael Gallup or David Montgomery?
David Montgomery.
Let's see. Mike Evans or Amari Cooper? That's a decision.
It'll be Evans, but I like both. It's weird to me that you wouldn't be playing both. You have to have a stacked roster.
Oh, here another defense. Chargers or Browns? They're both good.
Chargers, because I trust their secondary, and I don't trust the Browns secondary and linebackers.
Yeah, that's another thing too with inactives. I know Greedy Williams was supposed to come back. I'm not sure. I'll take a look here. And then Denzel Ward was on the injury list as well too. So let's take a look at that because I think they some of them have come out. Grady Williams is not playing, but Denzel Ward is. So that could be something to think about as well. So I'm going to scroll through the inactives real quick, and then we can answer more just to see if there's any. Do
you think Denzel Ward will go on Terry McLaurin?
Likely. I
don't
know that. I don't know if he stays on one side. That's the thing. I have to take a look at the matchup there. But yeah, other than what we discussed at the very beginning, there really isn't anybody else, any surprises. Really, maybe Duke Johnson, we didn't talk about, but he's also inactive. If you have him on the back of your roster, so yeah, John Ross is out. I did see the Bengals picked up Austin Seibert though. Put him on there. So that could be something to look at too with Randy Bullock potentially, maybe losing out to him. Zach Moss, Dawson Knox is another guy that's somewhat relevant. Obviously, Julio Jones is the big name that we talked about that's will be inactive today. So make your plans to be without Julio Jones today. Probably better, honestly, that he's out instead of being active and just being a decoy. We've seen it, a bunch of times with him, certainly. So
I got one for you.
Okay.
Are you going to start Devonta Freeman? He is active.
He is active.
And who would you start if you were forced to pick one?
Like what? Who would I start him over?
Lewis, Gallman, or Freeman? If you had to pick one.
I'm picking Lewis all day.
Yeah.
At least for this week. We'll see what Devonta Freeman, what they have for him this week. I don't think that he's going to be featured in the game plan as much as people think. I think it's still a Dion Lewis. I don't think he's going to dominate the touches. I think he's going to have enough to return low flex consideration. But next week is the real litmus test, because if Freeman gets 8 to 10 touches, that's going to bode well for him in the next week to get more and more. I think Dion Lewis has the potential to still factor in. Gallman, I don't think is really long for any fantasy relevancy. Now that Freeman is there, Lewis is probably going to mix in as well. So, I think we'll see what happens with Freeman. Like I said, if he gets 8 to 10 touches, then that's pretty confident going forward that you could start Freeman as a flex at the very least.
Hey, Axel, if you're still listening, I'm going to pivot and say I think you should start Hunter Henry so either Hunter Henry or Hawkinson. It's too much of a crapshoot to know what's going to happen with Reed. And I know I'm crazy going back to this.
Crazy like a fox.
I talk to my wife all the time. If I give like crappy advice to people, I'm always talking to my wife, and she's just like, "Dude, you need to not." I'm like, "But I told them the wrong thing." Anyway,
you need to go send them like a fruit basket if exactly. The budget here is already incredibly low here at Fighting Chance Fantasy, so hopefully we don't have to do that a lot. So that's why we try to give out as good advice as we possibly can to not have to give out Valencia oranges every week. Dion Lewis or Nyheim Hines?
Dion Lewis. One team's going to be down and the other team is not going to be down. So I'm going to go with Lewis for sure.
The pedal is off the rose on Nyheim Hines, I swear.
Do not drop him.
Yeah.
Do not drop him. You'd be nuts because they just have soft matchups. That's totally going to change.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. AJ Green or Russell Gage? It looked like you were about to say, and then you're like, wait a minute.
I think I don't know. Like I actually like both. Green's got to put it together at some point, and so far, Burrows has just gotten better and better each week. We only have 2 sample points right now, but
Burrow looks like a 5-year vet, man. Burrow looks great.
Yeah. Geez. Go with AJ Green. Bigger upside. Russell Gage could honestly do nothing. And I don't. There's no way that Green just does nothing. Darius Slay is my only concern.
Yeah, that's a bit of a concern. Stephon Diggs or T.Y. Hilton?
Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, I agree. Though Hilton, I do like the matchup too. I think he can, against the Jets, who are they stopping? So, I could see him running into a touchdown today. Joe Burrow or Deshaun Watson?
Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I agree. Pick 2, Adam Thielen, MVS, Marvin Jones.
MVS, Marvin Jones. Pick 2, I'm sitting MVS. 2 boom.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. I think you can, I do like MVS. I think that he's that line, Marvin Jones is. And we'll have 2 more questions and then we'll skedaddle here. I can't believe I just said that live. Justin Herbert or Deshaun Watson?
I like Justin Herbert. I'm willing to roll the dice on him.
Yeah, this is not, Deshaun Watson. If you're listening, you're not, but I'm sorry. And then last one, KJ Hamler or Brandon Cooks?
KJ Hamler. I don't have any interest in playing.
Any Texan?
Yeah, outside of, I might start Fuller because I think he will get a lot of targets. I'm just not going to. And then, so I'm going to go with KJ Hamler. I know it feels like you're getting cute, but I'd just rather have it.
Last one here from your buddy Kevin Chubb, Tannehill or Brady?
Oh man! After I just benched Brady and Scott Fish, it feels weird to go back to him. Damn, those are good options. I want to see what Brady does with both wide receivers fully healthy. So I'm going to roll with Brady, but I like them as both. They're both top 10 options for me, top 12.
You know what? As much shit as I've slung at him, Ryan Tannehill. Let's go.
I can't remember that AJ Brown's out. I'm sure you saw that, Chubb.
Oh yeah.
I have a final question for you, actually, and that's: are you going to move Cam to your 1 spot? Someone on Twitter was put Lamar or Cam, and I was like,
I will update my rankings as soon as I check the turkey that I have in my oven right now. I put it in before I came on live. I will check that out and make sure the house isn't burnt down, although I probably would have smelled smoke by now. And then I'll adjust my rankings, and Cam Newton will be QB1 by 11:30. Book it.
Boom.
There it is. I love you, Josh Allen. I have him 3 spots over anybody else on the expert consensus. Maybe I was a little too rash in Josh Allen because I'm not sure that he can return QB1 overall QB1 numbers today against the Rams. Prove me wrong, but Cam Newton against Vegas Raiders, I think there's potential there for just blow up. So,
Chubb, I agree. I agree. I'm going to go Tannehill over Brady. That defense is too soft.
Yeah, exactly. There's like nobody there anymore. But that's about it. We're a little bit over, so we're gonna head out of here. But again, if you have questions for myself or Gary, send them over to at KTompkinsII or at GaryHead1. Also, you can send them to at FC Fantasy Sports, our main Twitter account for Fighting Chance Fantasy. We will answer them there as well. So, like I said, good luck, everybody, with your week 3. Really hope it's not just an injury apocalypse like last week was. Fingers crossed here.
Really.
Gary, again, good luck today. And everybody else, thank you so much for joining us here on Fighting Chance Kickoff. We appreciate having you. And good luck to see Sunday and Monday, and hope you have a great day.
Yes, sir. You have a good day. I'm sure I'll be talking to you in like 5 minutes.
Probably less than that.
Yeah. All right.
Have a